There was a snail called Herbert who was so very slow. He caused a lot of traffic jams wherever he would go. The ants were always getting mad, and the beetles, they would fume. But Herb would always poke along and sing this little tune.
Have patience, don't be in such a hurry. When you get impatient, you only start to worry. Remember that God is patient too, and think of all the times when others have to wait for you.
When Herbert was much younger, he often got in trouble. Forgetting that he was a snail, he did things on the double. He'd crash through every spider web, and with crickets he'd collide. Till one day Herbert's father took his feeling son aside.
Have patience, don't be in such a hurry. When you get impatient, you only start to worry. Remember that God is patient too, and think of all the times when others have to wait for you.
As you can well imagine, there's a moral to this tale. Some of you may find yourself behind a creeping snail. So if you get impatient and you're easily disturbed, think about this little song and take a tip from her. Have patience, don't be in such a hurry. When you get impatient, you only start to worry. Remember that God is patient too, and think of all the times when others have to wait for you.
Hey Grace Kids! Hi guys, hope you guys are all doing so well. We love and miss you so much. I hope that you and your families are all well. So today we've got something very exciting for you planned. But first we're gonna go to our praise and worship, and then I hope that you guys are ready for that. Are your dancing shoes on?
Yes.
Yay, let's go.
You say you want it right now, but you can't have it right now. You gotta wait for it, Yeah, it's gonna be worth it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for 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 it. Hey, what you want today? Maybe a brand new toy or a video game. I know you want it right now, right here today, but it may not be the right time. So let patience lead you on, cause sometimes you gotta wait for what you really want. Now don't you go forget the words to this song. Now everybody sing along. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. 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 What do you do when you're at the fair and you see your favorite ride sitting right over there? Go to the ride just to have a good time, and you see a big long waiting line. Get in line, wait your turn. Here is something you can learn. Patience helps us get along. So everybody sing the patience song. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. 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 You want it right now, but you can't have it right now. You gotta wait for it, You say you want it right now, but you can't have it right now. You gotta wait for it, Yeah, it's gonna be worth it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta wait for it. B-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. You gotta
Auntie Levan, I can't wait to drink this cool soda.
Just what I need after a long day.
Such
A
a
nice.
Cold soda. That's just enough. And I can't wait to add the ice blocks in it to make it even colder.
Thank you. How long did you keep your ice in your tray? In the freezer?
Only 15 minutes. I didn't want to wait long.
Oh, 15 minutes. Do you think that was long enough?
I think so.
Okay, well, we'll
I
have to
didn't have
see.
patience.
I think you should have had patience rather and waited a bit. I kept mine for over an hour. Well, let's drink our juice and
Let's
see.
just see.
One.
Mine feels watery.
Yeah, you see? Mine is solid, solid, solid. I can't wait to drink this.
It's breaking.
Oh no.
It's just water.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Can you see, Auntie Tinky? That's why the Bible tells us that we need to have patience, okay?
My soda's gonna be so warm.
And I'm gonna enjoy mine. Mine is gonna be so cool and so nice.
I guess I'll have to have patience next time, since there's only water coming out.
Oh, that tastes so good. Sorry, I'm sorry. But I guess you have to learn a lesson.
Guess so. Welcome back, Grace Kids. As you saw today, I learned a very, very important lesson. And that lesson was to always be patient. You know, our scripture for today is Hebrews 10 verse 36. And that reads as, you need to have patience, so that when you have done the will of God, you might receive His promises. And what the Bible is telling us is that we always need to be patient, because if we are always impatient, then we might miss out on all the good and wonderful things that God has in store for us. You know that. And did you also know that every single day God is patient with us? You know, we sin every day. Some of us tell a little lie, some of us steal a little coin. But God is quick to forgive us, and He loves us so much, and He has so much patience for us. Isn't that true? So next time you feel impatient, think about the ice tray and my warm soda, which I couldn't enjoy because it wasn't nice. I didn't wait on the promise. And remember that waiting is always worth it. Remember that phrase that says, good things come to those who wait? Keep that in mind. That's all for today, Grace Kids. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Auntie Tinky. Can we repeat our scripture one more time? Hebrews 10 verse 36. You need to have patience, that after you've done the will of God, you might receive His promise. I hope you guys enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you, guys.
God's story. God's promise to Abraham. So part of God's story is about a promise God made to Abraham, and it begins like this. Once there was a guy named Abraham. He had a wife, Sarah. They didn't think they could have any kids, which was a major disappointment because they really wanted a family. But little did Abraham know that God had a very special plan for him. When Abraham was 75 years old, God promised to give him kids, and one day God would send the rescuer through his family. All God asked was that Abraham and Sarah leave their home first and follow him. Now, they had a tough choice to make. Leave all their friends and trust God, or stay comfortable. This was not easy. See, Abraham really wanted kids, but was already pretty old. Sarah was getting up there too. Not to mention, she had never been able to get pregnant. So if Abraham and Sarah were going to leave their home and trust in God's promise, they had to believe that God would do something that seemed impossible. The good news is, they decided to trust that God would keep His promise. That's always the right choice. So Abraham and Sarah moved from their home to a land called Canaan. Right away, God reminded Abraham of His promise. He said, I will make your children like the dust of the earth. Can specks of dust be counted? If they can, then your children can be counted. This was God's funny way of telling Abraham he would have a lot of kids, because nobody can count every piece of dust. Well, this promise seemed great, but after a while, Abraham and Sarah still had no kids, let alone as many as the pieces of dust. Now, they were really old. Sometimes God doesn't remind us of His promises because He wants us to learn to trust Him. But God took Abraham outside at night and told him to look at the stars. He reminded Abraham that He would give him that many kids. So Abraham decided to keep believing God. He and Sarah waited again. After more years, he got impatient. This time, God told Abraham, By next year, Sarah will have a son. But by now, Abraham was 99 years old. He and Sarah had both given up on having kids and God's promise. In fact, when Abraham told Sarah what God said, she laughed. It's probably not a good idea to laugh at God's promises, but Sarah was tired of waiting and had stopped trusting. The great thing is, even if we think it's impossible, God really does keep His promises. And just like God promised, Sarah got pregnant the next year after Abraham's 100th birthday. When her son was born, she named him Isaac, which means laughter. Sarah said, "God has given laughter to me. Everybody who hears about this will laugh with me." And think about it. A really old lady having a baby is pretty funny. God kept His promise to give Abraham and Sarah a son. Even though they didn't think it was possible, it was easy for God because He can do anything, including giving old people babies. And remember how God was going to give Abraham as many children as the stars in the sky? Well, Isaac grew up and had children who had more children who had more children. This kept going and going and going. And guess who eventually was born in Abraham's line? The rescuer himself, God's son, Jesus. All because Abraham followed God and trusted God to keep His promise. And that's the story of God's promise to Abraham. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Abraham and Sarah were old. God promised to give Abraham kids. Abraham and Sarah waited. They got impatient. God reminded them He keeps His promises. Abraham and Sarah waited more. They got impatient again. God told them Sarah would have a baby. Sarah laughed. She had a baby. Jesus was eventually born into their family. God always keeps His promises.